Quite an experience to live in fear, isn't it? That's what it is to be a slave. I've seen things you people wouldn't believe. Attack ships on fire off the shoulder of Orion. I watched sea beams glitter in the dark near the Tanzahar Gate. All those moments will be lost in time, like tears in rain. Time to die. If you guys can tell me what movie that's from, then you guys know that is a famous quote, and one that resonated with me since I was a kid. Now, I didn't really do too well paraphrasing back then. Obviously, the internet isn't as good as it is now. Back then, there was hardly... we had dial-up. Cell phones weren't a thing. It was just a different time. But watching that particular movie was one of the coolest movies to ever watch as a kid. Yeah, I was one of those weird kids. But I liked adult, more mature adult movie films like that exact one. Like I said, let me know in the comments below whether or not you figured out what that quote is from. One of my favorite childhood movies. Anyways, this is not going to be a Blade review. This is going to be a story about how this Civivi knife saved my life about 6 days ago. Now I'm going to do a review on this knife, but I just want you guys to sit back and hear a story out. Now, there are certain things I'm not going to divulge, certain information, so don't expect me to be too personal. But I am going to tell you right now, now I've said it so many times, how important it is to have something on you to defend yourself, especially nowadays with crazy stuff, crazy people. If you can't talk your way out of a very scary situation, you need to be able to know your way out of a situation. The last thing you want to do is have yourself be the person, whether you are the winner or not. You don't want to be in cuffs. But if you do things right, and you think right, and you make the right decisions, that's what I meant, you will have the upper hand in the situation. So I'm going to start off the story right now with the fact that I do live across the street from my job, so literally it's a 5-minute walk to and from. It always has been for the last few years now. And I haven't had a problem like this arise for me. I've had similar situations. I've been in fights and altercations. I can tell you that right now. But one thing that you have to learn that no class will teach you is street smarts. Now, when I say no class, I really mean you won't know how serious something is unless it happens randomly, for one. Two, the severity of the situation. How do you work in stress? How do you work in stress? How do you do what you do, but in stress? High stress. Now, my attacker was the type of person who was adamant on taking my life. He said it, and he even showed it to me. So I'm going to tell you, I'm just going to get straight down to the story. I walk to and from work carrying a backpack, and I guess that made me a target. But I guess, working late every day kind of is a no-brainer. Now, I already knew this. I already knew that something like this would be possible, but I never thought it would ever happen to me. One, the route that I take is really quick. It's literally one of the fastest routes home that, I could think of. And it really is the fastest. If it's 5 minutes to and from, you can already understand. So, less likely to have any issues. But if somebody targets you and they decide to watch you, then they know what you know. So, there's that. So normally I clock into work 2:30, and I get off work roughly around about 11 o'clock, unless I decide to, stay and, do a little bit of extra work. Now, I do have a street to cross, and the side of the work my work building to walk before you turn the corner and walk the front entrance of the job site and into the job site. So that's an extra, I don't know, just an extra 5 minutes at most. So a total of 10 minutes. But from my home to work is literally 5. So it takes another extra 5 minutes to walk around the building in order to get into the job site, which of course I'm not going to count, but from one area to another was what I was trying to gauge for you guys. Anyways, I do apologize if I do sound a little weird. I am under the weather, so just letting you guys know that right now. Anyways, I got off work at 11 and I walk the same route but opposite. So I get out the door and I walk down the same path I normally walk coming into work, turn the corner, and I walk down the long wall where it is facing the street that I have to cross so I can get home into the housing area in that sector. So as I'm walking down the long wall, there's a back alley to my job that entrance and exits for most delivery trucks. So that back alley, this red truck comes pulling halfway out of that entrance slash exit. This red, it's an old red pickup, and the lights turn off, the headlights. Mind you, this is 11 o'clock at night, so that place isn't exactly well lit, but it's also not exactly too dim either. There's parking and street lights, but there was nothing there. There was no one there. There was no cars, no nothing. So it was the perfect night to be a target. As the truck comes up, turns off its lights, the headlights, the passenger door pops open. And at this point, that's when I knew there's two people. You got the driver and you got the passenger. Now I can see that there's a driver, but I can't make it out because she's in darkness. And I don't know that she's a she till very much later. So the guy hops out of his truck. He tries to walk up to me and he tells me, "Hey man, guess what? That bag is mine. You're going to give it to me and I'm going to fucking kill you." And I was like, wow, that's not cool. And I instantly went for my knife. But instead of going for my knife, what I did was I put my thumb in my pocket onto the back spine. As he said that to me, I actually chuckled, which I know he didn't like. I didn't take him seriously. I thought it was a prank. And I just kind of laughed at him. And he saw that I laughed at him, even though I was wearing a mask. Normally I take it off while I'm walking home, but I just felt like I needed to keep a little bit warmer because I felt under the weather, which I am still today. And he didn't like that, so he quickened his pace. By this time, he's gotten closer. He pulls out a bat, and it's a black metal bat, and it's kind of worn. It's got a little bit of chipped paint, so you can see the silver underneath. It was a metal bat. It was shorter, maybe like a Little Leaguer's metal bat. He pulls it out, and by this time, I already had my hand on my knife. And I was like, if he starts to swing, I need to make a decision whether I need to run home, which I don't want him to know where I live. I'm not giving him my backpack because I have mail in there along with regular groceries. If it just had regular groceries, I probably wouldn't have cared to give it to him because that stuff can be replaced. But at the same time, it's not like the guy had a gun, so I still have a chance to keep my stuff. And I was like thinking to myself, okay, well, I could fight him, but I am outnumbered, obviously. Or I could turn around and go back to my job where I have witnesses and cameras. Now, all this I was thinking about really quickly, and I was like, I need to make a decision. This guy's coming up real quick. So he goes, "Give me that bag," and he raises his bat like he's about to hit me. Now, I know this because it wouldn't have mattered whether I was going to give him my bag or not. He was going to hit me, and he was going to hit me hard. He was going to knock my head out of the park with that bat. So I pulled out my knife, popped it open, and I held it to the side of my body so he can see it, and he freaked out. He was like, "Oh, shit!" And he looked at it, and he backed up. Now, this almost looked to me like he was about to run back to his truck because he turned, and I saw the back of his shoulder like he was about to run. That was my cue to turn around and run like hell because I am not making those two other decisions that I know are going to be not so good. So I ran back into my job. As I was running, he turned around to start chasing after me. And as he was doing this, he was yelling empty insults, Just a whole bunch of just a plethora of stuff about I'm going to kill you, you're a dead man. As I'm running, I could have swore he was right behind me. He got rid of his bat, so I'm assuming the driver of the truck pulled up at some point so that way he can get rid of his evidence so he can look like just a regular guy at this point. Got to the front of the job site and I go through the other entrance because we had to lock the front entrance so we have the exit open. So I run through the exit and I come in the building. At this point, there are 6 customers and there are cameras. So I'm like, this is what I need to do. I run in between all those customers. Coworker sees that I'm freaking out and she's asking me if I'm okay. And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm just, this guy's trying to kill me. And I was like, call the police now. Of course, it took me a little while to get her to understand the situation because she was kind of airheaded for some strange reason. Like I don't know, she showed empathy, but it didn't register to her the seriousness of the situation. So that kind of upset me just a tad, but at the same time, she was able to call 911. And so that was fine. 911, there were so many sheriffs. There were 8 cops at my job site. More than half of them were sheriff. And the guy, before this happens, obviously, the guy comes running in after me. So I have to run further into the job site just a little bit to create some distance. Because that's the one thing you need to remember. If you have an attacker and it's unknown situation and they have a weapon, you want to keep as much distance from them as possible. You have to. Because you want to have the better alternative. All right? You need to have the better alternative. Now, some people are going to sit there and be like, I could have fought him. Yeah, not if you have the certain elements that you have in my situation. I'm under the weather. I felt like crap. Okay? And on top of that, I have a backpack full of stuff and sensitive material that could lead to further robberies. So yeah, if I were to drop my bag to fight him, his partner would have came out to get my backpack because I'm not going to fight with my backpack on, because that's a hindrance, So I got into my job site, threw my backpack somewhere where he couldn't see it. And at that point, I have nothing holding me back. I'm like, if you are going to attack me, you better do it here where I have witnesses. And of course, they turn the situation on me, telling me that I'm a thief, that I tried to steal their backpack. So not cool. And that just means that you're a horrible human being for doing that because now, I'm the attacker. But everybody knows that I walk to and from work with that backpack every day. And I've done it for over a year. Actually, I've done it for over 2 years now. I always carry a backpack. Plus, I have some stuff in there for my anxiety and my panic attacks, which are getting better. So, a lot of that stuff is valuable to me, but it is replaceable. What isn't are the lives and safety of my own family and my own, for that matter. So, one thing you need to remember is if you have common sense, use it and use it well. Okay? If you can avoid confrontation, do that at all costs. This knife saved my life because it stopped him in his tracks. If I didn't have the knife with me, I probably either would be in the hospital right now or dead. The guy had intent on killing me. And it didn't matter whether or not I was going to give him my bag. He would have taken my life anyway. So, and I do believe that greatly. Seeing his face, and I've talked to a lot of people, and I've met very many people throughout my life. And I've been in scenarios and countless, situations where people are angry. And you get to pick up a type of wisdom off of not so good people. You can tell when somebody's lying to you. You can tell when somebody's being honest to you. You can tell when somebody's genuinely happy. And you can also tell when somebody's BSing you with their feelings, obviously, because they show it. It's pretty interestingly crazy how this works. But the older that you get, the more wiser you become on how to be a people person. And even if you don't want to be, because trust me, as a kid, I was a very quiet kid. My parents know this. I was that awkward, quiet kid, but I was also paying attention as well. I was watching and listening everything. So as I did that, I developed a learning skill that made me understand that this individual, yeah, sure, he could have, there's a chance in there. There's maybe a 2 to 5% chance in there that that individual just used it as a scare tactic. You know, people say things that they don't mean during an attack, probably because they're enraged, they're angry. But you have to understand that accidental death during stuff like this does happen. And it doesn't always involve a gun, all right? It involves bats, bricks, pencils, scissors, swords. You name it, it's happened. And it has. I have a buddy who's in law enforcement who've told me stories about how attackers didn't really want to kill somebody, but it ended up happening anyway. Or you'll hear a story about how an attacker said that they were going to kill him. They didn't really mean it, but it ended up happening anyway. So my thing is, if he was using it as a scare tactic, I'm not going to give him a chance to show me he's kidding. All right? That's just common sense. If somebody says that they're going to kill you, you best believe it. And they're going to do it through, whatever means that they, within the situational, thing of being mugged. If they said they're going to kill you, well, that's something that you should take into consideration, maybe, just a little bit, just a tiny bit. I don't know about you, but if somebody says they're going to kill me while they're trying to mug me, yeah, I think I'm going to take you just a little bit serious. Just a tiny, teeny bit, I don't know about you, but who knows? Maybe the guy was going to give me a hug. Maybe he was just going to, oh, I'm just kidding, buddy. Here, give me a hug. Come here. This bat, that's rubber. Oh my God. You want some cake? I got some cake in my truck. It's like sprinkled with crack and it's, oh dude, you got to try some. That's why I feel the way I do right now. Come on, have a slice. Unfortunately, it didn't play out that way. So, having a little bit of common sense can be more than a lifesaver, but also knowing when to pull the weapon is also very crucial as well. So, with that being said, this Civivi relic really did save my life. As I popped it open, it gave him the scare that I needed so I can turn and run. And after they turned the situation on me, calling me the thief and the liar and all that, there's so many people at my job site that knew that they were full of crap. And they were like, yeah, you were almost being mugged. And I go, yeah, I was. And of course I was hyperventilating and they're like, why, is it because you ran? I was like, well, first of all, I ran as fast as I could. I ran so fast, my veins were pumping battery acid. Also another quote from another movie. But I ran fast. And with a full backpack and feeling under the weather, oh yeah. Of course I'm going to be out of breath, dude. And I had my mask on me. So that didn't help at all. When I ran, I had my mask on me. I had to rip off the mask. And I didn't have any time to catch my breath. I was sitting here trying to explain to everybody what happened and why I was getting mugged and why that guy is obviously, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And his ugly, just very, 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 you could tell that they're kind of druggies because when she came out of the truck, she was in the section where it's not exactly in or out of the building. And she looked at me and she pointed at me. She goes, remember that you're a thief, you little shit. You're a thief. As she was talking to me, her teeth were all messed up. More than half of them looked like they were rotten. And she just looked dirty. She had wavy hair and unkept. And she was just dirty clothes. The police officer has all the details. They even came back the day after to get some more footage of them because that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted them to run into the store or run into the job site, and that's exactly what happened. So that's exactly how it played out. And now the police are investigating it, so that's a good thing. That is a very, very good thing. So when somebody tells you a knife can't save your life, mine did. And normally I don't carry around a knife that's, 3.5 inches. But this guy put the scare in them. It really did. Normally, I carry a knife around about 4 inches, close to 4 inches, a little over 4 inches, 5, 6 inches sometimes if I really feel it's necessary. Of course, I got a ride home from the sheriff. At first, I just asked them, "Can you guys just hang out on the side of the building over here so that way I can just walk home?" And he's like, "I'll do you one better. How about I just take you home?" And I was like, "Oh, cool, right along in the cop car." Of course, I haven't had that in years. I was in the Explorer post for my police department in my city way back when I was in high school as a senior project. So that was really cool that I got to ride in a police car again. Unfortunately, I had to ride in the back because he had a partner with him, and obviously he's not going to ride in the back. He's I had to ride in the back, which is so uncomfortable. And if you guys don't know what it's like, let me tell you, I hope that's the first and last time I'll ever be in a squad car in the back seat like that. I hope I never get arrested, and I never have. But the fact is it was made to be uncomfortable. The seats are solid plastic, and they are excruciatingly obtuse, if I could give it a description. Everything was sharp angles and no leg room, and hardly any chest room either. It's just they give you a little bit of arm space. That's it, and you're surrounded by. If you're a claustrophobic, you're gonna hate being in there. It's absolutely horrible. But it's made to be like that, obviously. So it's actually kind of cool experiencing that and knowing that police officers go through this to make sure that their own safety is kept. But cool thing anyways, got home safe and sound, had to cool down. My adrenaline was pumping through me a million miles a second. I could not get any sleep. But I'm good now. So go ahead and slash that like button, stab that subscribe, slice that bell icon so you guys are notified anytime I post new stuff. And in these craziest times, everybody please be kind, be safe, carry responsibly. And I'll see you all awesome people in the next video, especially about this one that's going to be for the review. Stick around.